when you look at technology jobs, especially like in software and that kind of thing, you have a lot more opportunities, more flexible work opportunities. For example, you can work as a freelancer. So as a woman, if you wanted to raise a family, you can actually dictate your schedule by working as a freelancer. You can also work online where your clients are abroad and they're paying you wage rates. If you have clients in the US or in Europe, you can actually get paid wage rates that are there and you're working here in Mombasa. Right? The other thing is, if you look at our world today of ever-changing technology and digital disruption, the future of work is largely shaped by digital natives. Digital natives are people who are technically savvy and they have strong background in STEM. So if you look at today's companies, a lot of companies today define themselves as technology companies, as tech companies. And the reason they do that is if a large part of the business is enabled by technology, they consider themselves tech companies. And what you find is that in these companies, the engineers in those companies rule. So there's still a high demand, there's not enough people with those skills. So even though the biases are against us, there's still high demand, there's not enough people to work in these industries. So you can get into an industry where you can actually have a lot of influence. The other reason that we should be is that when women participate in technology, it's not just women who benefit. Society as a whole actually will benefit from the expertise of women. So, for example, if you, are developing a prosthetic knee that works better for women, well, who else is better than women themselves being involved in that design? And then, fourthly, I'll try to be loud. Fourthly, women also bring a very, women bring a different perspective when it comes to the sciences, academia, in the STEM fields. So not having enough women, not having women in those fields is actually a missed opportunity in those fields, in the industry and so forth. And so what can we actually do? I'm sure some of you young people are asking yourselves, well, what can you do about that? So one thing we can do is mentorship. The way I see mentorship is a social vaccine. Just like you get a medical vaccine that prepares your body against, to have immunity against infections, mentors actually prepare your mind against stereotypes, the negative effects of stereotypes. So you want to be out there and ask, if you see somebody that you think you admire and look at a career, go ask them to be a mentor. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to ask somebody to be a mentor. There's two things about human beings. One is people like to talk about themselves and they also like to give advice. I mean, people give you advice even if they're not experts in what they do. And that's what you need in a mentor, right? Somebody who can tell you about their lives, somebody who can tell you how they've made it, and can also give you advice about how to go on in your career, right? So those are some of the things that we can do. The other things I would suggest for a lot of you here is be an expert in something. So pick a field, whether it's cybersecurity or say if you want to be an IoT hardware expert. If you want to be a hardware expert, take that field and become an expert in it. And how do you, some of you are asking yourselves, well, how do you become an expert in that field? Well, today, if you look at the internet, it has really provided us with a lot of opportunities to learn. I mean, you can actually be able to learn, there's also renowned institutions like MIT who will put out their classes free on the internet to allow you to actually learn. So you could be an expert. Other things you can do is you can participate in open source projects. You can also write articles, for example, in Medium, where people can reference. So once you're able to solve or have people see you as an expert in that field, you can really overcome a lot of these biases and you can become an expert in that field. Then of course, what you guys are already doing is exposing young women to STEM careers. That's a good thing, and there's a lot of programs that I've seen that Ruth has talked about that they're already doing. And even globally, there's companies out there like Google and Facebook, they're actually putting a lot of money in those programs globally. They come and deploy those programs here in Kenya. Even today, ICTA, ICT Authority, they have a program called PDTP, which is a presidential digital talent program. So a lot of those things can get you involved in the technology field. Now, I'm going to finish the talk by giving a little bit of career advancement tips. Okay? So, first, what I would say is sell yourself and manage your brand as individuals. And by that, I mean that if you look at men today, they do talk about what they've done, their accomplishments. I mean, guys typically will talk more than women do, and we're sort of trained to, be quiet and shy about our talent and that kind of thing. And even in my own experience, the co-founder of Bobeba is a male. And whenever we go meet our partners, clients, sometimes he will do an introduction and I think to myself, wow, actually sounds good. He makes me sound better than how I can do it myself. And I think over years, we women tend to really downplay. So don't downplay your accomplishments. Also, as women, when you're out there with your peers, engage your peers at a technical level. Do not be shy about flexing your technical chops. And what they'll do is that they will appreciate your experience. So those are some of the things you can do. The other thing you can do is understand the power of the network effect. And what the network effect says is that the value of a technology is dependent on the number of users. I'll explain that. So if you look today at Facebook, or even Safaricom, for example, the more people are using Facebook, or if you're transferring money on M-Pesa, the more valuable that network becomes. Now, that same network effect applies to your career. And if you think of yourself as a node in a network, your ability to network with your co-workers, with your classmates, your clients, your customers, when people understand your potential, and that network of people understand your potential, the more value you increase in your own career. The other thing that I would want to say, lastly, to close this talk, is that being women in STEM, in technology, engineering, and math actually makes us stand out, because you're going to find yourself in a group of men and they're going to notice you. And take that opportunity to speak out, take that opportunity to let your ideas be heard. And so that's it for today. If you guys, young ladies here, or even the gents, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zuleka Adan. I'm an IT professional. Lately, I made myself a project manager, but I still manage an IT project, so I'm still in IT. It's hard when people are staring and you have to speak. But we'll try. Like they say, we are not so good with words and with talking with humans. I remember earlier on in my career, I used to be a system support officer at Barclays IT. And I will walk in, just flash badge, then walk in, prepare the machine or the printer, then walk out. And I remember one day a lady stopping me at the lift and saying, wow, do you guys ever talk to people? You say hi. And my boss was so pissed, of course. I was an internship then. So it's, where do I start now? I'm in IT, like I said. I started my work as system support, trying to figure out stuff. I think I was among the third or the fourth lot of BSc IT from JPAT. So don't start calculating my age, no. But I was class of 2005 from JPAT BSc. And we were so lucky then, because before we all graduated, we all had jobs. Because Safaricom, Barclays, everyone was coming to scout us. So, and if your grades was a little bit better, it was very easy for us to get jobs. So in a class of, I think we were around 70, 75 in my class, and I think we fairly got good jobs at that time. But fast forward now in 2018, things are not as easy as they were then. Like now the market is so flooded, there are a lot of guys. So we knew IT as IT then, and I was discussing with the group how we used to code back then. And like, I'm like, oh my God, Python. And she taught me so many amazing things. So that is my journey. I come from Madeira. I dreamt big. I'm still dreaming. And the first time I remember I saw a computer or a laptop, I'm lucky that I come from a family of second generation or third generation going to the university. Because my dad himself, he's a scholar, he studied. So around 1997, 98, yes, I was in Form 3, 98. I saw a lot of my dad, and he told me he was writing an email, and that's like, wow. I imagine he's like, yeah, my friend is in the UK, and I'm doing this email, and he's going to get it now, and he's going to respond it. You know, like, and I have not traveled. Then I've just been confined in my small bula in Madeira. I'm trying to imagine this letter, how is it going to fly? And I told him there and then that, you know what, I'm going to learn how these things work. And it's tough, because we could not get those grades in Madeira. We never used to have teachers. I self-taught myself chemistry in Form 3 and Form 4. I remember there was one girl who was good in chem, and she was our dorm captain, and she used to tell me the only time that she could tutor me was from 10:30 p.m. till whatever time. So I have to wait for her. I was so sleepy, but I'll wait. And that's how we did the physics. So you can't blame me if I get maybe a C class. And then Jacob tells me, no, you can't take me for that. I told them, no, I need my date with the Senate. I need to come and explain my case to you guys. That I'm not bright, it's not that I can't get these grades. I didn't have a teacher, it's not my fault. So I remember the VC looking at me and telling me something about late bloomers. And when Professor Pitange was talking about that, he used to tell me, Zudeka, you guys are late bloomers. You come from Northeastern, you have not had this journey, but you get someone with C class, but you dump them in a university and they get a first class. So it's like, you guys are late bloomers, and they are early bloomers. Wow, you get 500, you get to Alliance, but when you come to uni, you will get there with second class level or something like that. So that concept, that's me. My fascination was in networking. I used to be called Cisco girl by my lecturers. I used to love networks. I used to do all that, and you know, just so fascinating. And this career, you can't survive if you don't have the passion, because you should know what drives you. What drives you at the end of the day? What keeps you like wanting to know? You can't just come to class, listen to a lecturer, and then go. If that is it for you, then there's nothing much out of it. But if you are going to burn the midnight oil trying to find out the newest technologies, trying to find out what's happening, then, like Prof told us today, those are the students that don't really get to be taught, because they are so way ahead of the class. So that's my journey. Currently, I am working at Telcom. Before Telcom, I was Chief Officer ICT Madeira County. That's a discussion for another day. If you are managing ICT in a county where at least no one believes in the third of the two-third gender in this country, so fairly the whole cabinet was male, but you start telling yourself about IT and you're a lady. Do you really know? Like what Leslie was saying, I remember at one time in Barclays, and Barclays IT then had around 70-something staff, and we were like 5-6 ladies, I think. Older ladies were around 3-4, but young, fresh from school, we were like around maybe 3 or 2. And I remember I would go to a branch, because I used to support a branch. I would go to a branch, go to the server room, do my stuff, and leave. And pray nothing happens. Because if anything happens, they will say the girl from IT was here. Like, oh, by the way, she was here and then she left, something happened. That had nothing to do with me. So you have to explain yourself every day of your life, like you are trying to, oh God, I went to school for this, I know what I'm doing, I got this, no one's going to do this. But I remember one day I stood up and I told my colleagues, we were all given 13 branches. I support my 13 branches. If I dare see you talk to my branches, that is the end of it. It's my branch, it's my business, I'm gonna handle it. Even if that server crashes, I will sleep in the server room by myself. I need no help from anyone. And that I made very clear. It's my business, it's me. So I will not, if something fails, I will not even go back and ask my colleague to help me. If he's a man, no. I will sleep there, I will do it. That stubbornness, I think, helped us. And we started getting some respect along the way. So today is not our day, today is your day. We left our jobs to come and talk to you and to listen. And I remember that Strathmore University have this thing called ICT conferences. I think maybe now it's 15th or 16th year. I used to religiously attend the first and the second. And I will never forget the first time that I had a lady speaking IT. She stood and she told us, if a disaster happens, who are the first people who are called? And we were like, oh wait, the WFP, Red Cross. She said, no. If today a disaster happens in Haiti, how are we going to tell the world? How are you going to call those people? IT, telecommunication is the first thing that you give when any disaster happens. And I said, oh, so this is saving humanity after all. So these talks maybe, I hope and pray, some of you might pick something from all of us. One thing, like the way that thought stuck with me all these years, that I'm actually helping in humanity in whatever bit that we are doing now. Yeah. So, karibuni sana kwetu as the speakers. Please feel free to speak to us about anything. And clearly, kama nimetoka kwa pahali hata kupa na simu jameni. You guys are in Mombasa. Yeah, you guys are in Mombasa. If some of us actually went to school without steamer, without all these things, and made it, yes, or that made it, but at least, at least when you Google me, you see my face with some governor somewhere, and I was used to working that, like that kind of a thing. So, asanteni sana, Ruth, thank you so much. So, I think we will talk more as we go along.
Thank you, Rebecca, for such an inspiring story. I hope the girls who are still in high school, we still have a long way to go. And you are lucky you have mentors, people you can always look at, and people can always support you. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome Vital from Cisco.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vital Muraj, and I work with Cisco. How many of you have heard or know the company Cisco? Quite a few of you. Okay. So I am responsible for the education program that runs at Cisco, which is CCNA, and I'm sure many of you know us because of CCNA. Correct? Yes? Yes. So I run that program, and I work with strategic partners like governments, education institutions, and also, social benefit organizations like this one to promote and provide quality IT education to young people like yourselves. My story is very simple. I really relate to my identity, which is I'm a Kenyan. The color, different, yes, but diverse. I'm a Kenyan. And that's actually what the research I'm actually doing right now is going back to my roots and understanding my identity. Because that was something that kept bothering me, that I'm a Kenyan, but I'm not a Kenyan. When I go somewhere, I'm not regarded as a Kenyan. I'm a foreigner or a Mzungu in many cases. When I go to India, I'm not an Indian. We are branded as NRIs. And so that really made me feel like I want to go back to my roots, and I really want to understand who am I and where do I come from. So this is part of my personal development journey, that I've taken a research to understand myself better and understand the culture and why I'm here and what I'm here to do, and where I belong. So that's what I'm doing right now, which is really fascinating and it's very interesting. My story started again from a very rich background. Born and brought up in Kisumu, but then life turned on us really badly, and it's a story of from riches to rags. That's actually my story. You hear from people going the other way. Mine was the other way, and I actually had to drop out of high school. You believe that? I dropped out of high school, and today I'm working for Cisco for 13 years, and before that I worked for Microsoft. And so I did not complete high school. And I know many people, when they hear my story, they think like, what? That is not possible for a person of your color. That's not possible because you think you guys are quite rich and you're privileged and you know this is where you come from. It's difficult for people to believe that, but that is really my story. I have struggled. I know what it is to sleep without food. I know what it is to go without books, yes, I've been through all that. And that's actually my story. And that being very close to my purpose of sharing what I have with people like you and other people. So I run a non-profit on my own. It's called My Karma Foundation, and I've been in Kibera for the last 12 years. And I work with young people like yourself to help them understand again who they are, teach them a lot of technology skills because that's what I actually believe in, and see where technology has helped to open a lot of doors for myself, and I think the young people can do the same. We also give back a lot because I feel I'm privileged to be where I am today because somebody gave me an opportunity. Otherwise, I would still be where I was. Yes, a lot of hard work and faith changed and all that, yes, but then somebody took my hand and lifted me up. And so it's my responsibility to lift somebody else up. And so that's something we really believe in, and it's something I'm teaching the young people, how to be compassionate and how to really care for each other. I truly believe in being authentic and really believing in your value system, and I think that's something that we're missing as Kenyans. So that's something I really teach the young people is how do you start living a life which is purposeful, a life which you're aligned to your values and ethics as well. So that's really what I do on the side, in addition to running the Cisco program, which I'm responsible for in 16 countries. And then I'm also studying now, which I said, the research that I'm doing. So I do have my hands full, but when it comes to events like these, I'd love to be part of it because again, I want to lift you up, even if it's a little thing that I said today that lifted you up. I believe that's what's going to take you to the next level. So that's why I'm here, and I've been helping Ruth and Aisha in putting this event together. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to speaking to you later in the smaller groups.
So my journey is not as vibrant as the ones I've come here, but I'll just give my background. When I was in high school, basically I had finished KCSE and I hadn't done well. And I remember spending 3 days in bed, crying. I was like, what am I going to do with my life? But somehow I worked through it. I tried to better my grade, and I went and I joined USIU. I did IT, and I focused in information security and forensics and cybercrime. And then I proceeded to do my master's. I've been at Sunnyland for around 3-4 years, and it's been a very great journey. I've learned so much. I'm very technical, so I'm not very good with this. But the one thing I've noticed about women is when someone opens that black screen and they see all those things running, they usually get scared. And they look at you like, how is she doing all those things and she's a girl? Usually it seems difficult, and sometimes it seems like you can't really do it, or you think like, gosh, how do people even do those scripts and all that? But if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything. I put my mind into IT. Officially, I was supposed to do business administration because that time girls were doing business administration, BCom. That was where everyone was going. So when I'm doing IT, people are looking at me like, you're going to do IT. Most dudes are there. We were only 2 girls in our class of information security. Only 2. And it was really shocking because girls were so scared of security. It's like, those are for hackers, the girls can do those hacking things, but the truth of the matter is you can actually do anything you put your mind to it. So basically, so I've done my degree and I've done my master's, and I'm just heading the security operations part in security. So I had maybe a question, and then I can give you like a giveaway. So I've mentioned two things, the offensive and the defensive side of security. So I'm just going to ask randomly if anyone has an idea of what the two really mean. Yes, okay.
Okay, I would say like the defensive is whereby a company or rather the people who have their data or information online, the measures they use to protect their data from attacks. And the offensive is whereby the ones that are attacking or rather the other side that is then they're actually saying that something illegal. Yes.
So she's correct. Maybe she can get there. So basically, in a company, you need basically the offensive and the defensive side of security. The offensive side needs to be the one who does the attacks, so you can basically do what a hacker can do. I'm a certified ethical hacker from EC Council, and that one is something I achieved. I have finished my campus degree. So I know a lot about hacking, but I also know the defensive part. So both are fun, it just depends on what your preference is. So thank you, and I hope to meet you in the group.
So I work with Tracy at Cellulant. I am in charge of service assurance, and I know probably nobody in this room knows what that means. Anybody? Service management? Service assurance? Anyone? All right. So I wanted to be a pilot when I was in high school. I really wanted to be a pilot. In fact, I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. But then it didn't work out. And I don't know how many of you have watched or used to watch this series called 24. You guys used to watch it? So, true story, the person who inspired me to be a programmer was Chloe. You remember how she would open her machine and then she'd save the day? And I always used to wonder, what is she doing? You know, she keeps saying, open up a socket. And I'm like, what's a socket? And it was so fascinating to me. So I studied computer science. I'm a programmer by profession. Java, PHP, MySQL, that's my stack. But what I want to share with you today is the thing that we don't talk about a lot. So like Leslie said, being female sometimes is a disadvantage, especially in STEM. When you walk into the room, you are already misjudged as being less than. Just what you were saying, you know. If you touch something and something goes wrong, people will assume it's because you're a girl, so you don't know what you're doing. But if your male counterpart does the exact same thing, you know, it's because of something else, you know. So what I want to share with us, and this is not to exclude the guys in the room, is that that's a reality we have to live with for some time to come. So don't let it dampen your dreams, you know. Don't let it bog you down. Don't let it challenge you. I remember my first time. So I joined Cellulant as an engineer, as a programmer, basically. And I was sent to my first client, a bank. It was a Friday, and I was just a few weeks old, so I really didn't know what was happening. But I was sent there. There had been some UAT tests that we were supposed to run. Excuse me. And I remember being there, you know, I don't really understand the platform too well because I'm just a few weeks old. And then there's problems, and then the head of channels comes. He was in Naivasha, and he calls and he's like, who's that you guys have sent? Just wait for me, I'm coming. He was in Naivasha, and he's saying, we wait until he comes. So we waited in the office, you know, I'm trying to troubleshoot, but you know, you can imagine it's like week 2. I honestly don't understand the platform well enough. And so he comes, and he's a very arrogant guy, I'll never forget him. And he gets on his phone, and he's talking to one of my colleagues in Kikamba. I suppose he thought I couldn't understand. And now he's saying, can't you guys send me someone else here who knows what's going on? You know, this person that you sent me, you know, she doesn't really know what's happening. And you know, in my head, you know that thing that you get over here, eh? And I'm just like, I will not cry, I will not cry. So anyway, that was my first experience in a bank. But what happened over time is that I gained his respect, and he would call me whenever he had issues and all of that.
And so it's something that I've come to appreciate and not, it's a challenge, but we live with it, that we as women in STEM are as good as anybody else in STEM. If God has given you the brain power to know how to write code, it doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female. If you understand the thing, then you just go ahead and you do it. But the one thing that I want maybe to leave you with today that has been very instrumental in taking me from my very first job until where I am now, is the one thing that I want to leave with you if you forget everything else I've said. In your journey, in your career, whether you choose to be an entrepreneur, whether you choose to work in corporate, don't let the small things pass without your attention. Pay attention to everything that you do. Be excellent at everything you do. If you choose to be a programmer, write your code so well that everybody who comes after you will know, oh, this is how Kellen writes her code. Simple things like, so programming best practice is that you arrange your methods or functions in alphabetical order. So keep the standard, be excellent at what you do. If you decide that you want to be on the business side of STEM, because of course there's business side of STEM, do whatever you do and do it excellently. Let nobody have any reason to fault you for what you've done. I'm really grateful to be here. I love seeing young people in STEM because for a long time I think we've seen all these other things advertised, but it's time, just like Professor was saying, it's time for us to solve our own problems, and technology can help us do that very well. So thanks a lot.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So I said I'm in Carano. I lead the Microsoft, what they call artificial intelligence strategy. So I am not techie, but I am pretty much the in-between. So I connect business to the technical side. And that has really been my career since I joined Microsoft. So I think my first job actually, before Microsoft, I worked for the Kenya Planters Cooperative Union. Yeah, that was my first job. People are laughing because they can't even imagine tech being applied there. But I joined actually, I'm an accountant by profession. And I studied economics and communication, so not necessarily techy, but always in tech. And so when I joined, I was the internal auditor. I was very, still very passionate about technology. And so we literally used to have like maybe 100 or 200 farmers lining up every day waiting for their payment. And I thought that was just a pure waste of their time. And so, and most of the time they would wait all day, and then they're told, oh, your payment is not ready, please come back tomorrow. And these people have literally traveled from Meru, from Muranga, from Kisii, wherever else you can think coffee comes from, they used to come from there. And so for me, it was just very passionate about what can we do to be able to do that. At that time, we were using MS-DOS system, and we could barely even run reports on it. And so at that time, I think the best technology in the market used to be Bank SMS had just been launched. And I was like, we have to find a way to use this. And so that's where my passion for technology started. Right after that, I applied for an internship at Microsoft, and I got it. And since then, it's literally been running different programs within Microsoft, but most of them really being passionate about how to apply technology into the day-to-day lives of people. And so it's been in communities, it's been in education, it's been in public sector, but also recently also in terms of in terms of policy and also in research. And so I'm really very passionate about how people apply technology on day-to-day, and so what kind of solutions people are building and how they can change and improve people's lives. And that has been pretty much my career all along. And so there's a whole, a lot of people think STEM can only be on that area in terms of you have to be techie, but also being able to learn enough tech as well to be able to become the conduit of the two, becoming the intermediary, of the two is also as important in terms of understanding what the people need and how technology can solve that problem. And so that can also be a career. And so I'm really happy to be here. I'm also very passionate about people being in technology. I think also in our office we're very few, but also that has really improved the last couple of years. I think now we're 50, 70, no, it would be better. So Microsoft is also very keen on the STEM opportunities, but also our skilling programs are really very pronounced in the continent, are very keen to get people, and especially women, getting into technology, and even being, because of the AI and machine learning and data science, a lot of these things which are very well known to be very technical. We're very keen to make sure that women are included and not excluded in the conversation. So happy to be here and looking forward to advancing the conversation.
I'd like to appreciate two young girls who've traveled all the way from Voi to come and attend this session. And Anne Rotich, please clap for her. Please come and get your gift. And where is Violet? Attention, you're welcome. Thanks, Zuleika, for bringing them. Okay. Please. Yes.
She knows. Does she even know how it's done?
Please. Thank you. Yes. Thanks, Zuleika, for also bringing and awarding. This is the next one we are going to give to Violet. Yes. Okay, thank you very much. I would like to take this opportunity to give Tracy, who will not take more than 6 minutes. She's going to do a bit of cybersecurity and her session. Welcome.
Hi, I'm going to keep it very short. Very, very short. I'm sure we are tired. So, who here has ever used a HTTPS link? Everyone, right? So, do you know what HTTPS is? Anyone? So, basically, sorry. So basically HTTPS I'm sure you can all read this. So basically it just means that your connection on the internet is secure. The security of HTTPS, or the beauty of it, is something called SSL, or what is now known as TLS. SSL means it's a secure socket layer, meaning it's a normal HTTP page, but I've slathered a lot of security on it, and I like to call it SSL. So basically you're ensuring that between you, when you do that HTTPS to Facebook, Twitter, whatever information that you're putting in is completely encrypted. Meaning that if anyone tries to intercept the traffic, for example your username and your password, they'll just see nonsense and they'll be unable to do anything with that information. So, I've already mentioned that. What happens in this is called the certificate, the hello, server hello and client hello. So I'm going to show you with a very short video. Yes, so let me show you the video. Sorry. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
Sorry. I'm just preparing the video. Yeah, okay. So basically this is for an HTTP page and how the information would look like. So basically we are going to use Wireshark. Wireshark is a tool that we use to analyze the packets that are coming in between two endpoints, between your phone and the server, between your phone, between your laptop and the server, when you're logging into a page like this. So this page is called ISP-config. It's a HTTP page, does not have the secure part of it. As you can see, it's called ispconfig.org HTTP. So when you log in, you've entered your admin and you've entered your password. Okay, and it's a HTTP link. Okay? So you're in, you're doing your own business, you're thinking you're okay, it's not a HTTPS link, it doesn't have an S at the end. And it actually tells you at the corner it's not secure, but you still continue to use it. So what happens with Wireshark, you're doing an analysis of what is happening in the background. So you've already done a capture of what you are actually doing. So you can see basically the acknowledgements, you're exchanging information with your server. So you can see, yeah. So we follow track of how you did to the endpoint of where you entered the information. And you can be able to capture the login from the Wireshark capture. So when you open and you show the TCP stream, basically on your HTTP request, you will see something very interesting. Yeah. So when you come, you look for admin, that was the username that you used, and you can see that the password here is demo and S. You can basically get the full password without the HTTPS. So when you don't have a HTTPS connection, intercepting traffic is very easy. If I'm in a coffee, for example, a coffee restaurant, and you're accessing information, all I have to do is, if you're using HTTP link, I just proxy your information through it. I create a fake Wi-Fi connection, the same name. I can call it Pwani Innovation Week. The I at the Pwani, I make it a 1, or I make it a, the bar. You make it look like that. So you're not paying attention, you connect to it. You connect to my internet, you're coming through me. And then I can be able to trace all the information that's coming between you from your mobile phone, you're entering through Facebook or Twitter. So, but when you add your HTTPS to, once you have that security on your server, meaning your server and your phone and the server they're connecting to each other through a private public key encryption. Meaning, you only know the person who's coming to you through that encryption, and you don't allow just anyone to come in. That's the importance of HTTPS. And that's why you're all urged, when you're on the internet, always use a HTTPS link. Yeah? So, I had mentioned the steps that are there. So when you're doing that exchange between your phone and the server, or your laptop and the server, there's a certificate exchange. The certificate exchange, first there's a server hello, where the two of you agree on what you want to do with your connection. So how do I want to talk to you? If I want to greet you, I can greet you with a high five, I can greet you with a handshake. So it depends on what both of you have agreed. So if both of you have agreed on a handshake, now you do a certificate exchange. The certificate exchange is basically public information of who I am. So when you look at a public certificate, it will look something like this. So when you look at it, it gives you information on who you are. So for example, this certificate is called Mula. I'm sure you all know my product called Mula. The t-shirts, you're all wearing t-shirts called Mula. So it tells you I'm called Mula, I'm in Kenya, Nairobi, and the name of my website is mula.co.ke. And even you, when you're trying to do that exchange, you also identify yourself by the browser. And the browser is able to collect information and know that whoever is coming through to connect to mula.co.ke is a legit person. And if you're also connecting to the server is also a legit person. Then, from that point, now exchange private keys. Private keys create a session whereby now the decryption of the information is done by the private key. No one else can decrypt that information other than between you and the server. You're the only people who know what information is there. The server itself can't really get the information. you decrypt it for yourself, because when you log in, you see your own page, your own password, all that is handled by the private key layer. So I don't make it so complex, but the point of this lesson is always use a HTTPS connection when you're on the server. Not all things will be protected by a HTTPS connection, because some people usually don't do a pure HTTPS. That is because some people configure servers in a very wrong way. Meaning, when you have like a folder on your server, some of the information that is there is not secure. Meaning it's still passing through from your phone to your laptop to the server, or between the laptop to the server in a clear text. So setup of how it is done is usually done by the administrators. But you yourself is to ensure that anything that you're clicking on is to HTTPS. Any link following. If you're going on Facebook, from your photos to your timeline to your profile picture, it's all coming with the HTTPS link at the beginning of the browser. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Which primary school did you go to?
Can I get pronounce? Womeninstem primary.
Have you heard of it? Which primary school did you go to?
Menengai primary.
Which primary school?
American primary school.
Which primary school?
Compuera Academy. It's a village school, it's called Momokoro.
Did anybody hear Brookside, ISK, Alliance, Pwani Girls? Did you hear that? But these women that you see here work for corporations around the world. These people. So none of you can have an excuse to say that you can't be anything, because some of you have been going to better schools than they've been to. And look at where they've reached, and look at who they are. Look at who they are. Look at what they're doing for the world. I mean, just very, very quickly, like Cellulant. Oh my goodness. Cellulant, in fact, we're actually here because of Cellulant. It's a fact. And there's a history behind that. I want to encourage every single person in this room. I heard Ishmael saying that he's very happy that he managed to squeeze in and sneak in. Smart. Look, the people who are here, who are standing here in front of you, any one of them, if they were to do any work for you professionally, none of you can afford them. I'm being honest. They're hourly rates, you can't afford them. And these are people who are respected around the world. People who have come back to this country, not because they lacked what to do, but because they know that for us to be where we need to be, as a country and as a people, they needed to be back here, to be working with you. The fact that this week, they have sacrificed and put everything apart to come to Swahilipot and have for the Pwani Innovation Week is telling. I beg you people who are here, look for them, speak to them aside. There is no such thing as a stupid question. The only stupid thing is when you don't ask a question. So look for them privately, speak to them, but most of all, each of you must super exceed what every single one of them has done. That is my ask to you. Please sit. You know, you people don't know who you are. You truly know nothing about yourselves. Just this afternoon, when I was seated here and on WhatsApp, I received a WhatsApp message that said that the person who was actually sorted out the problem of the transport system in London and also in China. I don't know if anybody has gotten that WhatsApp message yet today, but I've gotten it. His name is Professor James O'Chin. Yes. Yeah. No, I mean, that's just one. I mean, we've got, as you probably know, we've got the the electrical car that probably is going that is best known, which is Tesla. One of the most senior people working there is a Kenyan engineer. This one has had a conversation with Winnie. Unfortunately, she's not here. I know she's gone to Winnie from Microsoft. And I was very excited because one of the things that me and her seem to agree on is that we want you to build your capacity technically, not so that you go to work for Cisco, with absolute respect, or for Amazon, but so that you create the next cellulite. That is what we want, and that is what we're looking for. And it is possible, it's going to be possible. The girls and the women in this room, do not look down upon yourselves. You are so much more than you know. You are so much more than you believe. Let nobody tell you what you can and you can't do. But also, the men who are in this room, in fact, understand that these days the boy child is complaining, isn't it? So the boy child has been neglected and is being left behind. But guys, you know what? You also need to step up. You know, I want to say this, and so don't put up your hand. But if you're a man in this room and at home, this is what you're called by your parents. If you're called daddy, you're in trouble. I'm telling you the truth. There's a problem with you, and I need to be honest with you. Because you've been shielded, you've been bebelezed, and you know what I'm saying. You know yourselves, and you know the truth. You know the truth. But the opportunities are endless. And as Prof said earlier on this morning, Professor Ndemo, the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity. I will not forget this for the next 20 years of my life, that the further you go to Western, the harder the Ugali. Mass destruction. But you know, these are great, interesting problems for us. So some of these things, let us think about opportunities. A big hand to the girl who is actually from Rift Valley, but who lives in Voi, and came all the way to Mombasa. A big round of applause to them. Let me tell you, Kenya's problems, literally, like our financial problems, you know, like when Professor Ndemo was saying them, you're laughing and you think that it cannot be that simple. It is that simple. How much does Facebook as a company make? Imagine if just two of you in this room today, or in the next 5 years, started a company the magnitude of Facebook or Amazon or Netflix or Google, and was based here in Kenya. Our economy totally and absolutely changes, and it is possible. If the women that all stood here, you heard the primary schools, you heard them, huh? Did you hear Star of the Sea? And some of you have been there, isn't it? Yes, isn't it? Yeah. So don't look at what you have. The most important thing is the vision in your mind, where it is that you want to go. And don't let anybody take that from you. Don't let anybody tell you what you can and what you can't be. That is for you, your mind, and your God. Okay? For you, your mind, and your God. So, the ladies that are here, I am begging you people, please. On a normal weekday of work, it is impossible to get them and to have access to them. I am telling you, make use of them. All the speakers that will be coming tomorrow, the day after, and the day after, make use of every single person that you see and you interact with. I want to thank Swahilipot and Muhammad and your team for putting this together, because this is now how, as a country, as a region, as a people, we're finally going to become leaders in the field of what we do. As Mahmoud said, yes, we will release the blockchain report next year in January. And there's great and many opportunities for all of you. There's things that, once the CS releases the report, there's things that of course we'll be able to tell you where the opportunities are, and we'll be able to speak a bit more freely about it. But beyond and before that, I want you all to go back today and do a reset. Let me tell you what a reset is. You know how at times your computer, you can try, or your phone, and it's just not, it's not working. You've tried all the whatever, it's not working. So you either switch it off from the plug off from, or you do a hard start, isn't it? So they can reset it again. Go back and rethink the goals that you had initially had for your lives. I want you to go back and rethink them. Think about possibilities and forget about what you don't have. You have more than you ever imagined. If in Kisumu County we could train standard 8 leavers who had never been to Form 4 to write code, and they did, what about you people? But most of all, as I close, tomorrow, make sure, bring a friend, get more people to come in. If you're on Facebook, take pictures, selfies with each of these great women here, post them on, show off about it. Yes, so that anybody who's not here can say, damn, I must be there tomorrow, okay? And bring them here because we want to ensure that more of you can have access to these resources and to these opportunities, and you can know what is going on in the world. So it's a great thing that Mombasa County is enjoying, in fact the whole of the coast region. And I'm hoping and I'm trusting. How many of you are going to take selfies? Can I see their hands? How many of you? Great, excellent. How many of you are going to post them today and tell people to come tomorrow? And the day after? Excellent, fantastic. But most of all, I want that in another 3 to 5 years, you're standing in Tokyo, another person is probably in Geneva, another person is probably in Sao Paulo, and saying how, I'm here today, talking today, because some years ago, at a place called Pwani Innovation, that is when I made the switch in my head, and I'm now here leading a global business. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Onyango. For me, I have a lot of respect for you. You're one of the most humble government officials I've ever met. Yes, I really respect you a lot. And thank you for coming, and thank you for inspiring most of the young people. We were in Nairobi in a conference, and there was young girl, like she was very excited telling the rest, my mentor is Honorable Onyango. So everyone was like, wow, you are so lucky to get Mr. Onyango. So outside here now, Mr. Onyango, you are an inspiration to more young people, and we really appreciate. I would like to call our Deputy Director, who is in charge of professional development, Farida Mwikali, to come and give a vote of thanks.
Good evening once again. So as Ruth mentioned, my name is Farida Mwikali. I'm the Deputy Director of Professional Development at Pwani Teknowgalz, and I'm so excited to meet very great women in STEM. And I believe as much as you're tired, you've really gained a lot from this forum, and that we're going to share whatever experience we've had today with other ladies in STEM. And I believe that we promise ourselves that we're going to be ambassadors, and that we're going to encourage each and every girl out there to venture into STEM. Do we promise that? Are you sure? Yes, so we're going to be ambassadors, right? On behalf of Pwani Teknowgalz, I would like to thank each and every soul that dedicated his or her time in organizing for this Women in STEM conference. I would like to thank all speakers, our awesome speakers who traveled all the way to come and join us for this forum. I'd like to thank Madam Leslie. Thank you so much for your time. Madam Hital, Tracy, Madam Suleha, thank you so much for your time. I would also like to thank all volunteers for dedicating their time to come and assist us in planning for this event. And finally, I would like to thank each and every attendee or participant who took their time to come and join us for this forum. And I would like to thank all men. So thank you, he or she, right? Yeah. So I'm so happy to see men who are very ready to encourage girls to venture into STEM. Okay, so happy. Before I forget, I'd also like to thank our main sponsors, Cellulant and MasterCard, for making this event come to be, and to thank everyone. So God bless you and see you next time.